This is Tyler Shipham, aka Bleeflooflaw, reviewing for CloudDosage. In the world of gaming, the racing genre is always filled with options. It would seem every new console throughout gaming history has had a racing game within its launch window. Every major platform even has a dedicated racing game for that platform, and even most publishers today have their own brand of racing game that they revisit every few years. That's what makes it so surprising that, as cloud gamers, we have surprisingly few options to get our racing fix. Lucky for us that the games we do have available to us are quite good. It's sad, however, that this is all we have. I'll save you the suspense. Dirt 5 is an awesome racing game. It is single-minded in its purpose, and the level of focus the game has on simply being a fun driving game is a breath of fresh air, even several years after its release. The offering here may be considered bare bones by some. There's a career, arcade, time trial, and online playgrounds, which we'll get to a bit later. But there aren't any modes to choose from besides those. Personally, I love it. I love it when a game just does a few activities really well. But some players may prefer to have a more meaty offering. If you were to compare this game to Gran Turismo or Forza Motorsport, it would lose in terms of its breadth of content. But Dirt 5 is a much more accessible experience than those games. It doesn't expect you to know anything about cars, racing culture, or proper technique. It just wants you to go fast and have fun doing it. True to its name, the career mode is set up like a tree. A horizontal, colorful, and meaningless tree, if you will. You'll choose particular racing events that vary in their times of day, the weather conditions, and the type of off-road vehicle you'll be using. Dirt 5 has a fair number of tracks on offer here, and you'll be revisiting all of them frequently. But I like what they did with what they had. The off-road vehicles available will make handling these courses feel very different depending on the type of vehicle you're using, and every course can be traversed in clear weather, heavy rain, or heavy snow, and the traction for your vehicle is going to be different in every setting. These variables make each race feel unique each time you revisit a track or jump back into a familiar car. And it's not just the feel. The difference in the way a track looks between heavy rain and heavy snow, it always feels like a completely different place, even if they are on the same turns, albeit more slippery. I'm not a passionate car fanatic, so I can't tell you how realistic the cars feel. What I will say is I love the balance they struck here. Many racing games like Mario Kart or Grid don't even seem to need brakes most of the time, while racers like Forza and Gran Turismo make braking feel like essential as the gas pedal. In Dirt 5, you'll use your brakes at least a couple times in each race, but most corners can be handled by just letting off the gas and timing your gas pedal just right to kick into a sick drift. On a scale between simulations like Gran Turismo and arcades like Cruisin' USA, I'd say it tips the scales a bit more towards Gran Turismo. I think the kind of player who would appreciate Dirt 5 is someone who wants to feel like they're racing a real car, but hasn't yet learned the nuances of cornering a hairpin turn. Dirt 5 feels serious, but accessible, and it's an easy recommendation for the casual player. As you progress in your career, you'll get some podcasts updating you on the scene. These are actually quite charming, and I have to give a nod to these actors. They give a very convincing presentation, with a pseudo-sports-centered discussion and playful interviews with rival drivers. The story of the game is told through these short podcasts, and they're a fun listen, but it's a shame you have to wait around in the menu to finish listening, rather than allowing the conversation to continue as you load into your next race. I wanted to hear what the hosts had to say, but I couldn't be bothered to wait around in the menus while they finished their conversations, so most of the time I would ditch the podcast halfway through. When you don't want to be told what to drive in the career mode, you can switch over to the arcade, time trial, or playground modes. Arcade and time trial are what you would expect. Pick a car, pick a track, adjust a few things to your liking, like weather, time of day, and go have fun. Playground mode, however, is a really unique idea that Dirt 5 brings to the table and sets it apart from its peers. Playground mode has tons and tons of levels that other players have made, And once you enter this mode, the game will just throw level after level at you, and it's so much fun. Sometimes you'll have games like this where people just make garbage levels that don't mean anything and they waste your time, but I have to hand it to the Dirt 5 community. There are a lot of really great levels in here, and I had a really good time exploring them. Admittedly, I didn't spend a lot of time in this mode because it has you driving on pavement, and I really don't like driving on pavement in this game. For some reason, I really just liked the dirt aspect. So honestly, dead serious, I didn't play Playgrounds mode very much because I liked driving on dirt better. But you might like it. If you're a fan of racing games, you're likely already convinced about this one just watching this gameplay. I would say go play it. But for those of you who are sort of thinking about getting into racing games and are overwhelmed by the choices, I would say this is the one to pick. The presentation, accessibility, fun driving, and all the silly bits make this probably the easiest racing game to get into. And the content on offer here is enough to keep you busy for dozens of hours. Once you've beaten the lengthy campaign and gone back to get 3 stars on all the races, you can move over to the playgrounds and bathe in the endless number of clever user-created tracks. Online multiplayer works great. There still seems to be an active community here. I had no trouble finding a game even years after release. And it fits the same casual, quick start nature of the single-player campaign. For those needing to share a couch, the game also offers split-screen multiplayer on all platforms, a nice touch. And at the time of review, Dirt 5 is available on both Xbox Game Pass and PlayStation Plus, so really there's no reason not to dive right in. This is Tyler Shipham for CloudDosage. Remember to stick with CloudDosage for all your cloud gaming news.